long-awaited debut race in the BRKC of the reigning world champion. It's Michael Schurtler, the German, who took the title over in the USA. The World Championship was held in the USA in 2019. Michael Schurtler was the one to depose the then world champion, Ruben Boutens, who we've just seen racing. So Michael Schurtler will be out in this one. Josh Nee and Ramon Pinheiro, Marco Brame, Dan Healy. Dan Healy was so fast yesterday, topped the testing. And Matthias Matisse, we've seen before. Michael Zerb, incredible driver from Poland. We saw his brother racing on Philip Szerzak, Lucas Sullivan and Andrew Duff, another BRKC regular. Jamie Henderson, just want to, we're getting the times in now, just talks through what we're seeing. We've got Michael Schurtler, who looks like he could be on pole.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Schurtler obviously has come over and it's his first time at this circuit, already incredibly quick. Good lap from Scherber. Dan Healy in fourth will be a little bit disappointed with that after his pace yesterday. And Mites as well, P6, probably a little bit of work to do there. But again, it's another incredibly strong grid, and what a great race we've just had as well. So much fun to watch from the side of the circuit.
Absolutely, that was stunning, but this one's shining up too, because look at this. We've got Schurtler, who's going to start from the pole position. It's his British Rental Car Championship debut. He's the reigning world champion, Michael Schurtler from Germany, and he's going to start in first place. Second place is Michael Zerb, and Zerb we've seen perform at the very top level. He's one of the favourites for the World Championship. He was second in the world in 2018. Ramon Pinheiro, the Spanish driver, he's won here at the BRKC before, former Formula 2 race winner in cars. And Dan Healy, so fast yesterday. Mum Joe will be watching this with pride, that's for sure. He's fourth, but fourth in this kind of environment. Yeah, he'll take that, but I'm sure he'll be looking beyond. Lucas Sullivan, we're not seeing him before. Matisse, maybe a little bit out of place, possibly, but we'll see what happens. Shout out to Andrew Duff as well down there in ninth, but they're coming around to take the start. So here is Schurtler. He's going to be starting from the pole position. He's made a good start by the looks of it, but he has Michael Zerb already challenging. Zerb up the inside, and Zerb into the snail. Zerb's going to do it. He's passed the world champion. The world champion's been pushed to second, to third. No, he's fighting back. The world champ comes through. That Schurtler we're looking at, who's into second place. He dropped momentarily back to third, but it is Michael Zerb, an epic move into the snail off the start line. As they run down, there's movement behind, but it is Zerb leading from Schurtler. There's a cross line. Ramon Pinheiro momentarily took second place, but he's been bundled back to third by the world champ. And look at that going on behind. Oh, contact there with Andrew Duff, making up a position, shoved to the back. It looked like Philip Szerzak. Yes, it is. Philip Szerzak got shuffled back there, mostly by being clobbered by Andrew Duff, but it is still Zerb. But look at this, Schurtler is coming back at Zerb. They're entering the backstretch. Jamie Henderson, how do you read this?
Oh, it was a brilliant move from Michael. I think we know he's quick. He needed to do that move straight away to try and stop Schurtler getting away. He did manage it, but already he's soaking up that pressure. Dan Healy looked a little bit frustrated coming out of the hairpin on lap one as well, I think, with the contact. Now that they've got a bit of clean track in front of them, he's got to try and work with Ramon. If they can get the top two, I'm sure they'll be able to do it.
Into the pits, Carl Power.
Yes, we have number 20, which is Josh Nye. Josh Nye come in, and it looked like a good solid pit stop. So he was in that battle, which was all getting rather fruity on the first lap, coming out of the hairpin there. So he's had enough of that. He's pitted out, and hopefully he's got some good pace. Oh, there's a move for the lead.
There is. It was a shot by Schurtler, but it's not come off. Michael Zerb continues in the lead there, and the gap has opened up because Schurtler had to come out of that. He's waved to the race organiser. I think there's been a bit of finger pointing there, but well, from what we've just seen, he's probably just saying, well, I saw it all go on before. But Michael Schurtler is now under increasing threat from, would you believe it, Dan Healy, who has now managed to move ahead of Ramon Pinheiro. Ramon Pinheiro, the Spanish driver from down there, I believe he's from Barcelona, and but we have Zerb still leading, a bigger gap to Schurtler as we know, but it's Dan Healy up into third place. How do you rate Dan Healy's chances, Jamie?
I just feel like we're gearing up for another very good race here. Dan was so quick yesterday, and he will be looking at these front two thinking that they're there. If they start fighting, it's going to become a four-way battle for the lead, because even though he has passed Ramon is keeping up with him as well. So four-way battle for the lead, definitely.
We've just had Matthias Mattis into the pits. He's come out, and he has come out behind Josh Nye.
Absolutely. So, as picked up by Carl, we've had Matisse in the pits there, and we saw him lose some places earlier on. But it is still Michael Scherb in the lead there. Michael Schuttler, as you rightly say, Jamie Henderson, who's going to be driving in this race. We'll see him in action later on. But this is a bit of a four-kart breakaway. It's not exactly nose to tail right now, generally, but it could well be. This could easily be. Oh, into the pits there. Sorry, Carl.
That is Philip Kurzak, and he is coming out just behind Kurzak as well. So yeah, I think he's going to come out in last place, but there's obviously people in front of them who haven't pitted yet.
It was, but it was a mighty close run there for last place. Now, although the leader, Scherb, is trying to break away, he's taking Schuttler with him. Michael Schuttler, the German, the world champion, and in the pits, another one.
Yep, we've got Lucas Sullivan in the pits, the Bristol driver for the Broken Neck team. Looks like a good first stop. He's having a good look. The marshal's on hand just in case we have any cart stalls. If we haven't, he's coming out straight behind number 14, which is Mateusz Mattis, and between him and Just Nine.
So, as we conclude another lap, it's Scherb with the lead. Now it looks like Schuttler is closing in. We're going to have a look at times. Yes, Schuttler is currently the fastest on the track. He's set new personal bests and new records for this race on consecutive laps. He's closing in on the leader. That's the second place. The German Michael Schuttler, the world champ, in the pits.
Yep, we have another pit stop. We've got Marco Brem in the pit stop. There was some questions whether it was an invalid stop or not, and he's fading straight into that battle at the back. That's looking extremely tight. I think he's come out in 10th place though. It
is a huge fight at the tail. Meantime, we're going back to the front. We've got Scherb, and we're looking at Dan Healy on screen. Now, Dan Healy there, sorry, it was Scherb in the lead there we're looking at. And but there's a titanic battle at the tail developing. Matisse, Sullivan, Brem and Scherzak. But up at the front, we've got Scherb, Schuttler, Healy and Pinero. Now, Jamie Henderson, in your experience, do you see that Scherb and Schuttler could actually be pulling away from Healy and Pinero, or is this a bit of a watch and brief and it's still a four-way fight?
Absolutely. I mean, the issue is for Michael is if he starts defending, which at some point in this race he might have to. We saw in the last heat how quickly that can bring other drivers into contention. Matt Bosch was a good 5 seconds off the fight with Ruben in the last race and ended up all over him by the end of it. So as soon as Michael starts defending, again, that might pull Dan Healy and Ramon into the mix. And we can't forget Matthias Meitz as well, who's already boxed, who could still be a factor. He's very, very quick as well.
Absolutely. Matisse seemed to be sort of a little out of sorts in the opening part of that race, but he's certainly got the bit between his teeth now. Still fastest on track, we've got listed as Michael Schuttler, the world champion. A big battle running there at the tail. However, in the middle of it, we've got Andrew Duff, who's moved up to 5th place. Andrew Duff, one of the regulars, he's crossing the line now. Andrew Duff has been in almost every British Rental Kart Championship race in the last 10 years. This is the 10th edition, of course. We'll be picking up on that as the event goes on. And Andrew Duff is one of the most regular competitors. We're looking at him now. There he is in the grey suit and black helmet. Andrew Duff, he used to hold a karting blog, and that used to be the go-to for all racers at the end of a BRKC event. In fact, any event he was driving in, but particularly from our point of view, BRKC, he used to really capture the feel of it. Andrew Duff, and he's running in 5th place. He's certainly showing that, yes, he's 10 years older than he was when he first started in BRKC, but he is certainly no slower, running in 5th place there, and in front of him is the back of that leadership group, as we would really still can refer to it as. So there's Andrew Duff we're looking at on screen, but it still is Michael Scherb with the lead from Michael Schuttler, the world champion, Dan Healy and Ramon Pinero in 4th. Now there's a bit of a gap opening up. We've almost got like a 1-2 position fight and a gap and a 3 and 4. But Dan Healy is managing to stay quite enough ahead of Ramon Pinero that it's not slowing them down. If the leaders fight, Jamie Henderson, we could well be looking at them closing in, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Ramon, very experienced driver as well. He knows at this point if he's going to fight Dan, they're going to lose time. Both those drivers are still thinking the win is on here. They don't want to be fighting each other at this point. They need to be helping each other. It's exactly what they're doing. It's after the pit stops it's going to get probably quite interesting, I suspect, with some wheel-to-wheel action, hopefully.
If I could just butt in there about Andrew Duff. Before all that flurry of pit stops, Andrew Duff was actually leading that train, and they've all pitted. Marco Brem, I believe, did have an invalid stop, so he will have to make another stop, but he hasn't come in yet, so he could have a disqualification coming his way. I may be wrong, but I'm expecting him to come back in again because he had a foul stop. But Andrew Duff is stayed out, so he's obviously very confident of his pace, so when he pits, it will be crucial to see where he comes out in that epic midfield battle.
Absolutely. Andrew Duff, although he's circulating on his own, for those who are new to this sort of particular brand of karting, we work very much to the international rules. Andrew Duff, he's on his own, but right now he's under huge pressure to set lap times, because what he needs is he needs to be in front of the opposition when he makes his pit stop and comes out. He can't afford to come out into the middle of that gigantic scrap. It's a three-way fight at the moment. He just isn't going to be interested in that. Now, talking of fights, they're closer than ever. Michael Schuttler to the lead. We're looking on screen at Scherb, Michael Scherb, the Polish driver, followed by the world champion, Michael Schuttler. Now, Schuttler really got the bit between his teeth. We saw him drop back a little bit, but closing on a Michael Scherb is no mean feat, but that's exactly what Schuttler's doing.
And we have Andrew Duff in the pits. Andrew Duff in the pits. Let's see how he feeds out into that midfield battle with Josh Nye. It looks like he's lost a bit of time. It was a clean pit stop, but I think he has been jumped by two karts.
He has been jumped by Nye and Matisse, but he stayed crucially ahead of Sullivan and Sherzak and Brem. Meantime, we're looking to fight, and in the pits, it's the world champion.
Yep, the world champion's in the pits. That was a good first stop. It's a bit longer, that first one, than it is the second one. Oh, we cut that fine, but it was clean. It was clean. His out. Now expect a reaction from the leader.
Scherb and the world champion Schuttler both need absolute epic laps now. Separated by a pit stop, if you like, with Scherb yet to make a stop. Will he make it soon? He's got 11 minutes nearly to do it.
Well, he's coming towards me now, and I'll expect him to dive into the pits. No,
I think Scherb's going to go for the long haul. I think a lot depends on the pace of Schuttler. Now, we saw Schuttler close in. Jamie Henderson, do you think that Schuttler can actually leapfrog Scherb in this section? I mean, do you think Scherb should pit now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously both a lot more experienced than me. I'm sure Scherb knows what he's doing, but I'm a little bit surprised he didn't box there. Schuttler was all over him for the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes. It does look like he has a small pace advantage. If Michael leaves it too long, then I think Schuttler may have him, but he will be conscious as well, again, of the guys battling behind, so he's got a very tough decision to make, and it looks like he has committed to a longer stint as well, because he's just jumped the pits again for a second time.
Well, Scherb's staying out now. For those, again, who may not be with Motorsport TV now, different set of viewers internationally, it has to be said. Scherb has to make a pit stop. Schuttler's made one. Now, we saw Schuttler close into Scherb and then pit behind Scherb. Now, Scherb is under pressure to manage that gap, because Scherb cannot afford Schuttler to be free to go faster than he was before.
We have the feeling 13 in the pits.
Yep.
Here we have
Carl Powell.
Yep, we have number 13, Marco Brem again, to do his second, to do his stop, because he had a foul stop before. Sorry for butting him.
That's okay. You were expecting him to come in. He had a penalty for a foul stop, if you like. He's been brought back in by the organiser. Well, he's been told at some point he has to come back in. He's chosen now. That's Brem, who's resumed in 10th. Now, Scherb's lap times are crucial. He needs to be fast, and he is. Yes, he is at the moment faster than Healy, yes, and he is faster than Ramon Pinheiro, but crucially, he's ever so slightly slower than Michael Schuttler. This is playing into the world champion's hands. Now, Michael Schuttler, he is 4th, but he's 4th because those ahead of him have yet to pit. That, of course, is race leader Scherb, 2nd Healy, and 3rd Pinheiro. Now, Schuttler, who is running in 4th place, the number 9, now he really needs to keep this pressure on and keep this pressure on tight. Scherb needs to maintain this gap, and even then he'll be under massive pressure to make a perfect pit stop. He has to stop twice in one pit visit, if you remember, folks. And so, into pits, we've got another one.
Scherb is in the pits, so he's thought now's the time. He was cautious up to the first light. You've got a green there. And here we go. He's exiting the pits. It looks like he might just to be able to keep the lead. It's going to be very tight. I think he's got it.
But Schuttler around the outside, the world champion, is trying to take the lead around the outside. He's been forced wide. He's trying to the right hand, now the left hand again. He's on the inside, coming out the snail. Contact, but Schuttler, the world champion's done it. Surely they're coming onto the backstretch. There he is, Michael Schuttler, the number 9, the world champion. He's getting really defensive down the inside. He's covering the inside nose. He's not at all looking to be fast. He's looking to be in front. And there is Schuttler with the yellow on his helmet. The number 9 has taken the lead from Michael Scherb. Michael Scherb, maybe the only thing he could have done was pit as soon as Schuttler had, but really, these two are running so fast. Scherb had to really fight. He's done it! Scherb up the inside in the snail. Jamie Henderson, what a fight!
fantastic, but as I mentioned earlier, now the people to watch are Dan Healy and Ramon Pinheiro, because this little battle that has cost them probably between 2 or 3 seconds is going to bring them right back into play. That four-way battle for the lead that we spoke about is definitely going to materialise when all the pit stops are done. But now these two have a decision to make. Do they keep fighting and potentially let Dan and Ramon jump them, or do they work together for 5 minutes and then see how it's going to work out at the end? Really, they have to be thinking in a long game, I think, but Schottler looks like he might have other ideas heading into the Snail.
Schottler's intending to win this, we've seen that. Meantime, British hope Dan Healy leads the way with 23 laps in, 7 minutes to go. He leads the way from Ramon Pinheiro, the Spanish driver, again another one who's won at BRKC level and we know can contend for a win in any race. But side by side down the backstretch, that was again Schottler and Scherb. Scherb continues in the lead. There's Scherb with the red on his helmet, Schottler with the yellow on his. Both of them are pitted. There's going to be no pit stops. This is an absolute knuckle fight to the end. There's Dan Healy, the race leader. Britain's Dan Healy continues round. He's heading for the backstretch. Jamie Henderson.
Yeah, I'm just keeping one eye on that gap there. It's now 10 seconds. It's 10.4 for Schottler. It is right on the cusp of what you need to be in striking distance for a pit stop. So it's going to be really, really close when everybody's out of the pit lane.
Now, Dan Healy, there are some that would suggest it could be worth him making a pit stop now, but we'll see what happens, what he has in mind. Now, there's Scherb, there's Schottler, they're fighting over third place at the moment, but they have made a pit stop. In reality, this is the potential fight for the lead. Healy's just gone out of shot there, so really he could probably do with either going fast or coming in now. We'll see what he has in mind. Pinheiro probably is going to judge his move on what happens to Healy if he's smart. He's staying out. Both Healy and Pinheiro stayed out. Schottler and Scherb at the end, the heat has gone out of the fight, but certainly Schottler is right on the tail of Scherb. We know there's no pit stops to be made. It's all a question of lap times for these two. They could do without fighting, really, I think, Jamie, if they want to be sure of it just being them in the fight for the lead. Any fight now between Scherb and Schottler is just going to throw Healy and Pinheiro into the mix of the fight. Remember, Ruben Boutons, of course, was signalling to Selena Balnega saying, look, just cut it from out to try and keep away from Mats de Jong. Obviously, that didn't work out in the end, so that's not what happened. But we probably will be looking at a similar thought process maybe from Scherb and Schottler if they're that smart.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, and the gap has actually gone down to 9.8 seconds, so it does look like Schottler and Scherb have certainly started working together, and it looks like that's what they're trying to do. I think we'll see Schottler go for it again personally after the pit stops are done, but right now they do just need to concentrate on the threat from behind or in front of the track behind it.
Obviously you're competing this event yourself, Jamie. Your feeling now, if you were Dan Healy, would you be into the pits sooner rather than later?
I'd be keeping an eye on that gap. I think unfortunately that opportunity might have gone with it being 9.8. It would have to be an absolutely perfect pit stop. We've just seen it go down to 9.7 again. I think I would hang on in there now as long as I could and hope that Schottler goes for it, but I think the opportunity may have gone. We'll see.
Well, Dan Healy, very much one of the fastest all day long yesterday in the official practices, has been quick all week. We know he can win races around here. Meantime, it's Scherb there. We're still looking at the third place battle, which theoretically will be the lead, but a lot depends on what sort of pace Healy and therefore Pinheiro can manage. Pinheiro is probably just that fraction too far back to be a contender for the lead, but he'll certainly be like literally a couple of seconds. There's Pinheiro. So there's Dan Healy in the lead in the 17. Now where's Pinheiro? Yeah, he's just coming on the backstretch now. Maybe Schottler will fit in behind Healy or in front of Healy. 5 laps ago, behind. Now maybe in front is probably the thinking, Jamie. It's really now what's going to happen in this stop. Certainly Dan Healy, he's probably doing his formidable best, but that is very formidable indeed, but he's going to have to try and make inroads again. We consider 10 seconds, but we're looking at 9 seconds on the screen, which is to Scherber's advantage over Dan Healy.
Yeah, it looks that way now. I think Dan might have to settle for P3 here and Ramon P4. There shouldn't be any threats really behind that, but then as soon as we see that gap go, is Schottler now starting to think, well, maybe I should have a go, try and get the move done if Scherb isn't expecting it, because of course after the pit stops are gone, Scherb can basically just hug the inside line for the last 2 or 3 laps and hopefully take the win. So Schottler's got a lot of thinking to do here as well. It's by no means over.
Absolutely, and of course against the world champion Michael Schottler, we're going to see a whole new textbook written by Michael Scherb on racecraft defensive. And meantime, Kyle down in the pit lane there, we've got just under 3 minutes to go, but we haven't seen Healy in the pits yet, nor for that matter Ramon Pinheiro. They're going to take it both to the final lap. In fact, am I not right in thinking that we've seen Pinheiro overcook it before because they're not allowed to pit on the last lap, and he did either last year or the year before?
We have indeed. I do believe it was last year that he missed the board. It is quite easy to miss, but as a driver, you should start looking for it round about now, 5 minutes ago. You have this sense that I've been out here an awful long time, I'm going to start looking for the board. But yeah, just going back to what Jamie alluded to earlier, I think Healy had missed his moment, so he's pretty committed. He was hoping Schurtler was going to go and have a move, but he's the world champion, he's got wise head. And here we go, we have Ramon Pinheiro in now. He's not taking that chance this year. We're missing it. He's in now. It was a good first stop. Coming for the second. Yeah, good. It was a clean stop. He's going to come out on his own, so I expect to see Healy in this lap. It must be getting time for the last chance to pit.
Absolutely, a good clean stop there from Ramon Pinheiro. He is somebody we have seen in the past with various flavours of pit stop dramas, but he's made it clean, and it does count as well. Here's Healy. This is crucial.
Yep, he's in, is smooth into the pits. That's the best entry I've seen to the pits all day. Very, very good. He's leaning forward to try and help that acceleration. Oh, he cut that very fine, and he's going to come out. He's closer to the leaders than he was before they pitted. But yeah, no, he missed his chance. Schurtler wasn't playing ball. He wasn't going to go fighting because he recognises the situation that's unfolding around him. He needed to work. Now we can start seeing some fireworks.
And oh my goodness, how close for Dan Healy though. I mean, really, we thought that, maybe he missed it by 5 laps, but he came out right behind the world champion Schurtler. As we look at Scherb and Schurtler, they've got a few car lengths now, mostly by momentum, but that was actually closer for Dan Healy than we even thought. In fact, we even could have hoped, because Dan Healy came out literally amongst those leaders, and it was purely momentum that's made the gap. There's Healy now on screen. So actually, Healy is closer than he was before, and yet we feel he left it late. He'll be ruining those, not pitting 5 laps earlier. I think that he was actually even more in front than we thought, Jamie. I mean, that really was, it's a hard thing to say, a race lost, but had he pitted 5 laps early, Dan Healy could well be winning this race.
Yeah, absolutely could have been, but then he would have to have, sort of 10 minutes of defending very, very hard against 2 very good drivers, so it's really tough to make the decision in that case. It's easy to say retrospectively, but I think 5 minutes earlier he probably would have inherited the lead. But then we talk about how important it was for Scherb and Schurtler to start working together, create that gap, and that's exactly what they've done. Now Schurtler is eyeing up a go, so I'll let you take it.
And Schurtler's eyeing up a go on the last lap. This is the last lap. Schurtler's trailing around the outside, but it doesn't come off. Michael Scherb has defeated the reigning world champion Michael Schurtler. Schurtler making his BRKC debut, and Scherb wins it. Michael Scherb from Schurtler, and Dan Healy in incredible 3rd place. 4th place can be Ramon Pinheiro from Mateus Matisse. There's Pinheiro. Matisse comes through there, and then it's going to be Andrew Duff. Is it Duff? We'll have a look. A couple of carts. There's 1 lap down, Brem there. We saw come through earlier, so that was Matisse. And here comes Duff. Yes, Duff manages to hold that position ahead of Josh Nee and Lucas Sullivan and Philippe Scherzak. Marco Brem at the tail there. We saw, of course, some dramas in the pits. Yet again, dramas in the pits all the way. But what an incredible race there. Michael Scherb took the fight to the world champion, managed to win. Dan Healy came in 3rd. It could have been a win, but still 3rd in this level is absolutely outstanding. But that is the kind of thing we'd expect for Dan. Certainly one of Britain's top hopes at world level really is Dan Healy. He does most of his racing here in the UK, but he is a world-class contender, no doubt about that. We're going to go down to the pit lane to Kyle Power. Kyle's always got some interviews and, well, all sorts of action there. That was a close one.
Yeah, that was an extremely close race. It was brilliant, and we like the tactical races, don't we? They're very good, and then you always get a little bit of fruitiness on the last lap. When all the pressure's off of the pit stops, they can then start to attack. So I'm just going to try and intercept. I'm going to try and get some drivers. I'm letting them get weighed first, and I'm going to try to grab the top 3. I kind of waved the microphone in front of Gerb's face, and he didn't look too happy about it, so we'll see if he comes over to me. Michael Schurtler didn't look too happy. I'll try and grab Schurtler. So there's just a bit of discussion going on at the moment with the officials, so we'll just wait, try and get his attention. There's a bit of discussion going on with the race officials here, so I think there might have been some contact warnings. Up up to James. Do you know if there's any penalties? Can you see on the screen?
I'm not aware of any penalties at the moment. We have the drive-through for Marco Brem, and we actually had a contact warning for Michael Schuttler, which I think that was really early on. There was quite a sort of bundling going on in the snail section on the opening
I've got
lap.
Gerb now. Hello there, Michael Gerb. Fantastic win. That was brilliant. Looked very tight, battling at the front, and you had to go and put a quite a hard move, it looked like, in the snail section. How did it look from where you were sat?
Well, yeah, of course, it was so close, also in qualifying as in our race pace. I think with Michael, we made a really good battle. Sometimes we touched a little bit, but I think that's a nice race. That's what I came here to try with the best driver. And yeah, I think that was a good race.
And what was the discussion with the race officials there just about, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, they just say us to not contact a lot of timers now, but I think it was clear also by my side as his was a little slice, but I think was good.
Okay, brilliant, well done, and I have a medal for you as well. There you go, here's a medal. So congratulations, well done. Right. Michael Schuttler, I'm here with the current world champion, Michael Schuttler. So second place there. It looked like you had a chance to get the win. It looked extremely hard battling with a bit of contact. What have you got to say?
Difficult to say. Pole and fastest lap, and then P2. It's not my goal. Yeah, I think it was a very hard race with a little bit contacts. I don't know if all overtakes are fair. I don't know. For me, a little bit too hard, but yeah, I have to learn for the next race.
Okay, so you questioned it with the race officials just to see if it's fair or not. Any chance of a penalty?
Sorry.
So you questioned it with the race officials, the fairness of the overtakes?
Yeah, in Germany, many overtakes were not fair, but international, it seems, yeah, other. But it's okay.
Okay, well, second place isn't so bad. It's a very strong start, so I'm expecting to see you in the final.
Yeah, SP2 is okay, and I think it was my second hardest heat at this weekend, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next race.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for the interview. Awesome. Great. I'm just going to see if Dan Healy wants to come for an interview as well. I'll just try and grab his attention. Oh, but someone else has gone. We have Michael Duff here as a surprise interview. And Andrew Duff. How was that? You're obviously a stalwart of the BRKC, and it looks like you're involved in some pretty fruity battling on the first lap down there.
Yeah, to be honest, it's all a bit of a blur now. I mean, I qualified horribly, but the kart felt really good, and so I was reasonably confident of moving forward in the race. So, and lots of other people at the beginning just got tangled up with each other, and I took advantage and made a couple of moves stick. I mean, it's the most overtaking I've ever done in a race here on track, and also the fastest lap I've ever set here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever been happier with a 6th place, put it that way.
Oh, superb, you're looking extremely racy. I think we're all looking forward to reading the karting Odyssey and your summary of that.
Well, I am sorry to admit that there won't be one this year. I know.
No.
It's just I don't have the time in my life anymore to write it. But
I'm getting booed in my ear because of that. That's a very unpopular decision there, Andrew.
Well, everyone's got a whole weekend to change my mind. So, but
we'll be badgering you about it.
Thanks, Carl.
Well done, mate. And now I'm going to try and get Dan Healy. It's always worth having a chat to Andrew. He said he's practically part of the furniture for BRKC. It is always a good interview. So, Dan. Yeah, if you come a bit away. So, that looked like an extremely good drive. It looked like at one point during that race you had a chance to take the win. I guess you could see the leaders battling and hoping they were going to start fighting. Do you think you missed your window there?
I think I missed a window. I just don't think I had the pace, to be honest. I think I saw about a 10.5 second lead. I was like, oh, I can build on that. And then suddenly it just started dropping to 9 seconds. I was like, nah. One of them's a world champion. One got 3rd last year for a reason. And I'm just not on their pace at the moment.
Well, you're not far off. That's an extremely strong pace. You come out very, very close to them. You must have been praying for them to start taking chunks out of each other.
Oh, yeah. Because I saw at the start that Wojcik had... is it Mikko or Wojcik?
It was Mikko, that one.
Mikko. I saw him instantly go for Schottler at the start, and then apparently he had him again on track, so I was hoping Schottler would kind of go out for revenge so I could kind of build that gap while I had some free air, but unfortunately it just didn't happen.
Brilliant, but great pace and some very strong showing for your first race. A great British Hope. We really hope to see you in the final.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And back to you, James.